You ever notice how some people don't seem to rush, but somehow end up ahead anyway? Not louder. Not busier. Not even more talented. Just, ahead. And it makes you wonder. What are they seeing that you're not? I used to think progress was about speed. How fast you could earn more. How quickly you could figure things out. How early you could finally feel stable. But the strange thing is, the more I chased speed, the more everything felt unstable. Like I was always moving, but never really arriving. And at some point, I started noticing a pattern. The people who seemed the calmest about money, the least reactive, the least stressed, they weren't thinking in weeks. They weren't even thinking in years. They were thinking in decades. And if you're the kind of person who's trying to understand money beyond just numbers, beyond just survival, then you'll probably find yourself coming back to conversations like this. Not for quick answers, but for clearer thinking. Most of us don't struggle with money because we're careless. We struggle because we're trained to think short-term. Everything around us reinforces it. You get paid monthly. Bills come weekly. Prices change daily. Opportunities feel urgent. Act now. Limited time. Don't miss out. Even your own thoughts start to sound like that. I need to fix this fast. I'm behind. I should be further ahead by now. So naturally, your decisions start compressing into the present. You don't think about what something costs over 10 years. You think about whether you can afford it today. You don't think about how habits compound. You think about whether you feel disciplined this week. You don't think about who you're becoming. You think about what's stressing you right now. And there's nothing wrong with you for that. That's the environment. That's the system. But here's the problem no one really says out loud. Short-term thinking feels responsible. But it quietly creates long-term instability. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine two people. Alex and Jordan. They both earn about the same amount, let's say $3,500 a month. Same city. Similar rent. Similar responsibilities. From the outside, their lives look almost identical. But the way they think about time is completely different. Alex thinks in months. Jordan thinks in decades. Now here's where it gets interesting. Alex makes decisions based on relief. If something reduces stress today, it feels like a good decision. A slightly nicer apartment. It'll make life easier. A new phone upgrade. I deserve it. Eating out more often. I've had a long week. And none of these decisions are extreme. They're normal. Understandable. But they're all driven by one thing. Immediate emotional return. Jordan, on the other hand, filters decisions differently. Not perfectly. Not rigidly. Just, differently. Jordan still spends. Still enjoys life. Still makes mistakes. But there's a quiet question running in the background. How will this feel, 5 years from now? Not in a dramatic way. Just in a subtle, consistent way. And that one difference changes everything. Because when you stretch your thinking across time, the meaning of decisions shifts. A $200 purchase isn't just $200 anymore. It's $200 not invested. $200 not saved. $200 multiplied over time. Not in a guilt-inducing way, but in an awareness-expanding way. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Let's slow this down. Because long-term thinking isn't about deprivation. It's about context. When you only look at the present, everything feels small. But when you zoom out, everything gets heavier. Not emotionally heavy. Just, real. Take something simple. Subscriptions. Let's say someone spends $30 a month across different services. Doesn't feel like much, right? That's the point. But over 10 years, that's $3,600. Over 20, $7,200. And if that money had been invested instead, even modestly, now you're not just talking about spending. You're talking about opportunity cost. And this is where most people disconnect. Because we're not taught to think like this daily. We're taught to think in transactions, not trajectories. Another example. Lifestyle upgrades. Let's say Chris gets a raise from $3,500 to $4,500 a month. That extra $1,000 feels like breathing room. And for a while, it is. But slowly, the apartment gets nicer. The car gets better. Spending adjusts upward. Nothing dramatic. Just gradual. Until eventually, Chris is earning more, but feels the same pressure. Same tightness. Same need for the next raise. Now compare that with someone like Sam. Same raise. Same opportunity. But Sam locks in a portion of that increase. Not all of it. Just some. And more importantly, Sam doesn't see the raise as extra money. Sam sees it as future freedom. That shift sounds small. But over 10, 15, 20 years. It's the difference between needing to work and choosing to work. This is what long-term thinking really does. It changes the emotional meaning of money. Money stops being just something you spend and starts becoming something you direct. But here's the part most people don't talk about. Long-term thinking is uncomfortable at first. Because it forces you to slow down. And slowing down feels like falling behind. Especially when everyone around you seems to be speeding up. Buying things. Upgrading lifestyles. Showing progress. It creates this quiet pressure. Like you're missing out. Like you're being too cautious. Like maybe you're overthinking. But that's just the short-term lens trying to pull you back. There's a moment. Usually subtle. Where something clicks. It's not dramatic. It's not a big financial win. It's a realization. You start to see that most stress around money isn't about how much you earn. It's about how short your time horizon is. Because when your horizon is short, everything feels urgent. Everything feels like it matters right now. Every decision carries pressure. But when your horizon expands, pressure starts dissolving. Not because life becomes perfect, but because decisions stop feeling final. They become directional. You stop asking, is this the right move? And start asking, is this moving me in the right direction over time? That shift alone can change how you experience money completely. And this is where things get interesting. Because once you adopt long-term thinking, you don't just change financial decisions. You change identity. You become someone who doesn't need constant validation from purchases. Doesn't react emotionally to every financial fluctuation. Doesn't measure progress weekly. You start playing a different game. A quieter one. But a much more powerful one. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, if you find yourself wanting less noise and more clarity around money, then this is probably a space you'll want to return to. Not for urgency, but for perspective. So what does this actually look like in real life? Not theory. Not perfection. Just reality. It looks like pausing before decisions. Not stopping them. Just stretching them. Instead of asking, can I afford this? You ask, what does this mean over time? It looks like building small habits that don't feel impressive now, but become powerful later. Saving a little consistently. Investing regularly. Letting time do the heavy lifting. It looks like accepting slower visible progress. In exchange for deeper stability. You might not look ahead right now. But you're building something that compounds quietly. It looks like separating emotion from timing. Just because something feels urgent, doesn't mean it is. And most importantly, it looks like giving yourself permission to think differently. Even if it doesn't match what everyone else is doing. Because the truth is, long-term thinking doesn't feel rewarding immediately. That's why it's rare. But over time, it becomes obvious. If you zoom out far enough, most financial stress isn't about one decision. It's about patterns. And patterns are built slowly. Quietly. Almost invisibly. The same is true for stability. For freedom. For peace of mind. They don't arrive suddenly. They accumulate. And maybe that's the part no one tells you. You don't need to rush your way into a better financial life. You need to think your way into one. Because once your time horizon expands, everything changes. Not overnight, but steadily. And in a way that actually lasts. So if right now you feel behind, or uncertain, or like things aren't moving fast enough, you're not broken. You might just be thinking too short. Stretch the timeline. Give your decisions space. Let time become an ally instead of an enemy. And over the years, you'll notice something subtle. You're not chasing stability anymore. You're building it. And if this way of thinking helped you slow things down, even just a little, then staying around this kind of conversation might be worth it. Not for more information, but for better perspective. Because in the end, it's not the fastest decisions that shape your life. It's the ones that hold up. Years from now. Progress doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to last.